Ladies and gentlemen, him and his big damn band are coming to the Mountain Art Center on Thursday, September 16th. Joining me on the phone right now, the one and only Reverend Peyton. Reverend, how's it going?
Oh, man, it's going great. It's a beautiful day. We're getting ready to kick off what is possibly the biggest tour that we've ever done in all these years we've been doing this, man. Played 38 countries, 4 continents. And I think that we leave on Thursday or Friday to embark on the biggest tour we've ever done. And but before we make it out there down to y'all in Kentucky, we're going to be all over the place with ZZ Top. And so I mean it's like a dream come true.
Yeah, I was sitting there looking at all the dates, man. I mean, it is, like you said, it is stacked. And I seen y'all doing a bunch of shows with ZZ Top, and I'm like, oh, man, that's killer. How did all that line up, man? How'd you become the opening act for ZZ Top?
Well, I mean, the short version, I'll give you the short version and the long version. The short version is, a couple months ago, Billy Gibbons called us up and said, hey, we want you to come out with us. That's the short version. But the long version is that we met Billy a few years back, and he kind of somehow got wind of our music, and through a mutual friend, he got my phone number, and he called me up, and he said he wanted to hang out when we were in Telluride out in Colorado, playing the Telluride Blues Fest out there. So we just hung out, and I, of course, have been a giant fan of Billy Gibbons and ZZ Top my whole life. I mean, literally my whole life, And I mean, that was incredible in and of itself. But the best part was, man, and I'm not just saying this. The best part is that Billy Gibbons might be the coolest dude walking the planet right now. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, the guy is just cool. I liked everything about him. I like his vibe. I like his style. I like his work ethic. I like just everything about him. So, after that, like we were pals, like texting about guitars and such, and finally, I guess the stars aligned. I always, wanted to go out and do something, but, I never wanted to pester him. But he called us up, said, hey, we want you to come do this. And it worked out. And it's just, we've done a lot of shows, man, and we played with a lot of bands, done this and that and the other, but I mean,
yeah, but ZZ Top, man, is ZZ Top.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was so sad to hear about Dusty just a few months ago, too, man. I mean, Dusty, it hit hard for a lot of us ZZ Top and just music fans in general. Oh, absolutely. And I really thought that maybe the tour was going to be over, And I mean, not just, it sounds, maybe a little bit selfish to be thinking about that, but I've been looking so forward to this. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm thinking about Dusty and all the fans and his family and just everything. And then, like we've been laid off for a year and a half, not been able to do any shows. And it was just devastating on every front, on every front. There was no way around it not being devastating. And Billy said, nah, get suited and booted. We're going out there. And, Elwood, their guitar tech, is taking over the bass duties for ZZ Top, and I've actually had 2 different drummers in my history of my band that were my guitar techs that moved up to drums. Wow!
So like that actually, I know what that's like for a guy that's been road crew their whole life that gets to step up and do that. So on the one hand, it's devastating for music fans everywhere to lose Dusty. And but it's also I got to say, man, I'm really happy for Elwood, their guitar tech, because that's a big step up, and it's a big come up, and from what I understand, he's out there, really tearing it up, really doing a good job. And know what I know about Billy F. Gibbons is he's going to be doing this until he literally can't. Like they'll have to stop him if they want him to stop. He has music deep down inside of his soul and his bones. And I mean, at this point, like, let's be honest, man. I mean, ZZ Top doesn't have to tour, right?
Oh yeah, like they're ZZ Top. They're good, you know, like they're good. That they can just chill the rest of their lives. But no, man, they love it that much.
Yeah, he does it because he loves it, man. I mean, he could probably find some beach somewhere to chill back on and sip pina coladas and just, watch the sunset every day. But he refuses to do that. He's making new music, man. I mean, my favorite ZZ Top song is "Gots to Get Paid" off of their most recent full length. Billy Gibbons has continued to put out music on his solo stuff too, and he's excited about it. When you talk to him, he's talking about his next thing, man. He ain't talking about what happened, how many years ago. He's talking about right now what he's doing, and it's inspiring to me, So I'm just, I'm sad about Dusty. I'm sad for the fans. I'm sad, especially for his family. And that's the thing when people they kind of forget that musicians are real people,
Yeah.
And so it's a real tragic human loss, And there are family. There are, people that are close personal friends that have lost a real valuable member of their life, not just someone that we look up to as a musician.
Yeah, but everything I was reading about whenever Dusty passed away was that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted the band to continue going on, and there was talks about the drum tech replacing him. Like that was kind of if anybody was going to replace him, that was the person that he said that he wanted to replace him. So it's beautiful how it all worked out, how Dusty would have wanted it to work out.
Well, that's just it. That's what I was going to say. Is that I think that they had been planning for this possibility, and it seems like it was something that had been discussed, and it's at the end of the day, if it had to happen a certain way, I think that this probably is about as best as we could hope for. You know what I mean? And I personally, for myself, am excited to go out and see, this version of ZZ Top, because I've seen the original members on more than one occasion, and it's obviously incredible, and I'm really excited to go out and see this. I think it's going to be special too, and man, I mean ZZ Top, they've got so many songs, Even if you're out there, if someone is out there listening to this and they're like, well, I've never really been a big ZZ Top fan. I bet you are and you don't know it.
Oh, yeah. You've heard the song somewhere, one form or another.
Oh, you've heard almost all of them. I bet almost everybody could go to a ZZ Top show and they would sit there and go, oh, man, that's ZZ Top too? Well, that's ZZ Top too? Oh, my goodness. I mean, you're going to recognize almost all these songs. And then all the ones you don't recognize are going to be awesome. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's like they're a band that is so much a part of the fabric of our society, of our culture. It's just hard to even separate them from what it is to be an American, and that's not hyperbole, man. I mean, think about how many movies you've seen Sharp Dressed Man in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like. It's just incredible, So for us, this is a big deal. For me, like when I was a little kid, some of the first songs that my band in middle school played were ZZ Top songs.
Yeah.
So it's just been this is a dream come true for me. I just I can't say overstate it enough. But on this tour, ZZ Top they tour. Obviously, cover a lot of ground, but they kind of take their time doing it. There's a few days off here and there, and we can't afford days off, so we have filled up the month with a few extra shows in there.
Yeah, and but it's also awesome just to see your hard work paying off, man, because whenever I was doing some research into you and your group, y'all have been doing this for a long time, man. The newest album that y'all have out right now, Dance Songs for Hard Times, I love the title, but this is y'all's 10th album, right?
I think so, yeah. I think if you count like the various EPs and things like that, it is. We've got, I was trying to remember how many, I think it's over 100 original songs we recorded. I forget how many it is, like 120 or something original songs we recorded. I've got, like I said, we played 38 countries, 48 of the lower 50 states. We played, all over the place, man. And we did it all honest,
yeah.
I ain't got a rich daddy. I never had, I don't have a famous last name. I don't have, never had some like wealthy benefactor come in and take us under our wing and funnel money to us. Everything we got's been God honest. We just went out and we just did it, one show at a time, one fan at a time, building it up like that. So everything that happens, I just sort of think of it as gravy. I've been real lucky to be able to have made my living playing music, and I feel really, really, really blessed by it. So this kind of thing is just another one of those things that feels like a come up, and I just all I want to do, man, is go out there and put on a good show, like prove to folks that we belong there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's good to see good things happen to good people. I mean, you're on tour with ZZ Top. You got the #1 blues album on the Billboard charts. It's beautiful stuff, man. But I have to ask you about this record, Dance Songs for Hard Times. I love a great album name, man, and y'all just really hit the nail on head with describing y'all's sound and the times that you're making the music in. What was the thought process behind going into this album, though, and making such upbeat, funky tunes in, hard times like we're living in today?
Well, years ago, someone said to me, they're a music writer, and they said, Rev, almost all your songs sound happy, but when you listen to them, they're actually really sad. He said, and they're like, it's like these sad dance songs is what this guy said. And when I sort of had crafted the songs for this record, I felt like it was the most that of anything I'd ever done. Yeah. So the working title was Dance Songs for Hard Times, because that's what it just really felt like it all was. And then when the record was done, I'm like, man, forget working title. This is the title of this record. That's what this is. I went in and started writing these songs. It was like March 2020, because we were going to be making a record, but like obviously the whole world changed. Everything changed. Our whole life changed. Everything that we had done. I mean, I've been playing music since I was 12. I've been a professional musician since I was 13. Everything I've done, everything I've known my whole life was completely halted and changed and stopped. So I just felt like everything I had been doing, it just wasn't going to work. You know what I mean? It just wasn't the same. So and like for me, music is very personal. I write very autobiographical, personal stuff. So I had to go with that. I had to follow wherever that was going to take me. So I started writing, and songs were pouring out of me in a way that they've never poured out of me before. Like people will tell you, like, oh, I write songs all the time. Well, no one writes good songs all the time. I don't care who they are, and I write a lot of songs, but a lot of them just end up, on the trash heap. I just put them away. But all these songs start coming out, and it was good stuff. And I'm just like, man, like this feels like the record, and even with some of the stuff on there, it is maybe a little bit different, pushing the envelope for us, But I just feel like at this point in my life, in my career, and just who I am as an artist, like I have to just go wherever it takes me, and just kind of come what may, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did with this record. It was come what may. Let's go where it takes us. And we went in the studio with Vance Powell, and he's got Grammys with Jack White and Beyonce, and he's recorded with Chris Stapleton and all kinds of cool people, incredible producer. And he said, I want you to pony up this microphone. We're gonna record this to 8-track analog tape. I want you to play it, sing it live, just like you do on stage. He'd seen us a few times before, and he said, if Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, the best way to record them is just to record them as they are. So that's what we did. We went in the studio and just sang my heart out and played my heart out and just tried to capture what these songs were in the moment right then.
I think you did just that, man, because I mean it's also a very relatable record as well, especially to anybody that's grew up, in the mountain kind of country area. A lot of these songs speak truth, whether people call them happy or sad or whatever, that they're also true songs. That's another thing that I appreciate about the music that you make, man, is just the stories, relatable stories that you tell.
Hey, man, thanks. That means a lot, because I really, some people they're like fiction writers, right? They create stories, and sometimes they're able to sort of paint pictures about humanity through their fictional tales they craft in songs, right? but that's not the way I've ever done it. And it just never worked for me. Like, every song I write is autobiographical in that either it is about something that I personally lived or firsthand have witnessed, right? Mm-hmm. I've never been a fiction writer when it comes to songs. It has to be true. So I think that maybe that helps, I mean, it is true. And I love you brought it back to mountains, like we live in the southern Indiana hills in Brown County. It's Appalachian foothills. It's, every now and then someone will say to me, they'll go, "Well, Indiana, you sound like you're from Kentucky." And I'm always like, "Man, you ever looked at a map?"
Basically same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm south of some of Kentucky, brother.
Exactly.
I'm down the foot of that boot, So, we're down here, and I mean, it's for people that know what it's like around here. That's the sort of the tales that I'm telling, because I think that the best thing for an artist to do is just tell their story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it comes from the realest place. I mean, there's a lot in this world that would be great to write about, but I just don't feel qualified because I don't know nothing about it. I know about this place. I know about these people. I know about what goes on here. So that's what I feel like I have to do. And now musically, I'm influenced by, all kinds of things. And I grew up, just studying and poring over and being obsessed with the fingerstyle country blues legends, but in terms of like 1920s, 30s, life of a fingerstyle blues artist, I don't know nothing about that, right? That ain't, so I'm not going to write about riding a mule into town. So I never did. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't what I'm all about. So I always tell people, I'm like, man, I don't want my music to be in a museum. I never did. I want it to be alive now for people that are here. And if it feels timeless to people, and if it feels like, it's pulling like in some kind of nostalgic something or another, that's cool. That's great. That's a bonus. But what I'm trying to do is just tell stories for right now, and hope that those stories stand the test of time. Not based on any kind of chasing a fad or chasing this and that and the other, but just chasing wherever the spirit needs to go.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to sum it up, man. I'm glad you brought up Kentucky, because I was on y'all's Wikipedia, and man, I had to ask you about this. Are you a Kentucky Colonel?
I am.
See, I thought we only had one Kentucky Colonel in the Bluegrass State. He makes some dang good fried chicken, but no, this is an actual thing that's given out every once in a while to not many people, to anybody else out there that isn't familiar with this. It's actually the highest honor that can be given out by the Commonwealth state of Kentucky. So how did you become a Kentucky Colonel? That's pretty cool.
Well, so the beauty of Kentucky is that they do offer this. It's sort of like an award. It's like being knighted. Like in England, the Queen puts a sword on your shoulders.
Yeah, but instead in Kentucky they use a chicken leg.
Yeah. That's right. But you'd be sir in England, but in Kentucky you're colonel. And it's really kind of a service award. Now I tell you, you have to be nominated, and then the nomination process is reviewed by the governor's office, and then they go through that. So I was nominated. Actually, I was nominated by Colonel J.D. Wilkes of the legendary Shack Shakers, and I'll never forget when I got this giant package in the mail from the governor of Kentucky, and I just about hit the ceiling. I was so excited. My whole life, I'd always wanted to be a Kentucky Colonel. It was to me, I always thought that was the coolest thing, and I still do. I always looked up to those people that were Kentucky Colonels my whole life.
What was in the package that you received from the governor?
It's a giant diploma-like certificate, and then a bunch of other like paperwork and whatnot. There's a at the Derby, there's a Kentucky Colonel party you get invited to, and then there's different kinds of like service stuff, fundraisers and things that are held, mainly for children and children's causes. It's a pretty cool thing, man. I know other states give out certain awards. Indiana here, they give out a thing called the Sagamore, the Wabash, but it don't quite have the same ring to it, does it?
No. Kentucky Colonel is way cooler. The only way it could be cooler is if you like got a free meal from KFC every once in a while. They should work that in there. You think the government could do something like that.
Card. You get a card, keep your wallet so you can pull it out and be like, look, you should be able to probably get a discount at KFC. They should work that into it.
Get a free 3-piece or something at least.
Yeah, that'd be nice. At least some free biscuits or something. I don't know, but it'd be something.
But also looking into y'all, man. I mean, y'all are a crazy bunch of people. Just when it comes to the fun facts about y'all, like you're so interesting. Because I was listening to the record and I'm like, man, these folks have a unique sound to them. And I started researching into y'all's group, and you got a very creative way that you go about making the music instrument-wise. Like I seen where Breezy, she plays the washboard, of course.
That's right.
And I was paying attention to your music videos, and I'm like, does that drummer have a plastic bucket? And yes, there's a plastic bucket. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's unique. And then I was on y'all's Facebook, and man, I seen you using a tablespoon, just a regular old tablespoon, as a guitar slider, like doing it both at the same time. And I'm like, man, that sounds killer. Who would have ever thought to do something like that? Where do you get these like crazy, unique, but awesome, unorthodox ideas for the instruments that y'all play?
Well, the instruments, starts like this. Really, it's in the American tradition, in the rural American tradition especially, of music. People have often made do with what they had, right?
Yeah.
And that's where, the washboard comes from. Washboard was designed to wash clothes. It's not an instrument. Now, a lot more washboards are sold as instruments than they are as clothes washing implements, right? And in the tradition of that, that's what Breezy does. And Breezy is incredible. And she's not incredible in the way that, someone would be like, oh, man, look at her showing off on that washboard like crazy. She puts on a show, but she plays for the song. And, we played we recorded with Steve, the Colonel Cropper, and of Stax Records, Blues Brothers fame, and everything else. One of the most important guitar players of all time. And after the session, all he wanted to talk about, I was told, he's like, hey, come over here, I want to talk to you. Now I thought he was going to talk about my slide playing, my finger picking, my singing, all this stuff. Nope. He's like, that washboard player's the best washboard player I ever played with. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, she's the best. He's like, she's one of the best percussionists I ever played with. Her feel is perfect. And that's one thing I'm always on about with people. I'm like, look, Breezy's my wife, but she wouldn't be playing this band if she wasn't any good. Like, I'm too type A, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But the reason that she is in this band is because she is incredible. And it just so happens that I'm also married to her. It's not, it's like, she is just, her feel is impeccable. So when I say she's incredible, I mean that she's going to make those songs feel just right. And that people that are just don't realize how important that is, how important feel is in a song. It can be everything. It can carry a song up or down. And in terms of drums, Sad Max Centennial on drums, we've got a bucket on our set, and that is also a nod to that tradition where, people make do, and that busking street performer tradition as well, where you're playing a bucket instead of a drum. But he's got a full drum kit, but one of his toms is a bucket, and it's a great sound. It's a unique sound. It's different, and it's huge sound. And people don't realize how good it sounds, And the beauty of percussion is you can beat on anything to keep a rhythm, right? So if it sounds good, it sounds good. And as far as me, some of the weird stuff that I end up playing from time to time, from cigar boxes to axes to you name it, is that it comes from that tradition. But there's a cosmic math involved in music, and stringed instruments illustrate it better than anything else. The octave is always at the halfway point. The intervals are always the same, no matter how long the string is, how short, how long. And once you kind of understand that and unlock it, then it becomes infinite, and it's wide open for you, mm-hmm. and you can play almost anything. And so I kind of like to challenge myself in that way. And I have a lot of fans that will bring me all kinds of cool homemade stuff, and I love to play them and try them out. If I see something or hear about some kind of thing, then I got to try it out, and I've got to try to push myself and just try to have fun too. I think a lot of times, I don't want to say we don't take this seriously. I'm not saying that, because we do. We take it serious, a heart attack, but we try not to take ourselves too seriously. Sometimes you forget this kind of stuff's just about having fun at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't all be blood and guts and sorrow all the time. or else it's just it's too heavy a weight for me to bear. You know, I've got to have fun. And so that's, you know, a lot of what I do is I'm just trying to sort of please myself when I'm doing some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah, I love that y'all are bringing back those old traditions of early Americana music whenever it comes to making homemade instruments, because, yeah, for the people that aren't familiar, I mean, cigar boxes, just little pieces of plywood that were laying around, you hook that up to a homemade amplifier. People had to work with what they had back then, and it's crazy how amazing they got those homemade instruments to sound. You mentioned Jack White earlier. I'm a huge Jack White fan, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated about him is like how sometimes he'll buy a what some people would call like a crappy catalog guitar and get it out of tune, and then kind of force himself or challenge himself to get a good sound out of it. Just musicians like that, to me, like, not only is their like music good, but they're also just interesting people because of that fact. And me being the music fan that I am, that's what draws me to people like that more than just the traditional musician that spends $8,000 on a guitar just because it's got a brand name on it.
That's right, man. Or chasing some kind of fashion fad or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, man.
You know, it's you know, there's I've never been for that kind of thing. You know, I like musicians like you know, like you said, like Jack White, people like Billy Gibbons that they are in it for the music. Now, I mean, like they put on a show, right? I mean, like that's part of it, but that's not the whole focus. The whole focus isn't fashion and show. The focus is really music. You know, it's trying to fashion, you know, a show around that music, right?
Yeah.
To present it. And you know, I think, you know, at least I hope that's where we're at too, man. I mean, I live for this stuff. I work on it every day. I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm always trying to push myself. I'm always trying to like see if I can get just a little bit better tone out of these things, you know, just a little bit. They'll tweak this, tweak that. I mean, I've been doing this so long, you think, well, surely it's settled in. I mean, just as recently as, honest to God, the last show we played, we're trying to tweak the sound a little bit, see if we can't just make it a little bit better, you know?
Yeah.
Let's get these guitars a little bit better. And, you know, I figure when I'm done chasing that, that's probably when it's done, right? It's time to hang up the hat, right? But as for right now, I'm as obsessed with it as I ever have been.
You can tell, man. And I mean, you have such a unique sound, and it's hard for a lot of bands to find their own sound. They spend years chasing other people's sounds and trying to reenact them into their own, and y'all have really just settled into your own thing. And speaking about some of the crazy off-the-wall instruments that you play, you probably have one of the most American instruments on planet Earth. I did not know this was an actual thing until I watched it on YouTube, but you have a shotgun guitar, man. That is wicked. What's the story behind that? How'd you make a shotgun guitar?
All right, so see, one thing you got to know about me is that I you know, like I said, I live for just, you know, doing crazy stuff, and I really do. So there's all these people that play all these instruments made out of this, that, and the other, and I've been doing this a long time, you know, and you know, long before it was cool to do this, that, and the other, right? So I had this idea, and I called up a buddy of mine that has built me a few instruments. His name's Brian Fleming. I said, Brian, I want you to build me a shotgun guitar. And he's like, what? I'm like, honest to God, I want you to build me a shotgun guitar. And I said, I want you to go buy a single shot 12-gauge shotgun, and I want you to fashion it into a guitar. So he's like, all right, you know. So he goes and he does it, and then he sends me plans. You know, he's trying to draw it up. And I said, hey, that thing won't shoot. And he goes, you want it to shoot? I go, well, yeah, I want it to shoot. I'm like, what's the point of having a shotgun guitar if it don't shoot?
Yeah,
and he's
man.
like, man, that's going to be hard to play. And I said, who are you talking to? so he puts together this thing, and it is incredibly hard to play. It's more like a guitar attachment to a shotgun. But so he puts this thing together and three string shotgun guitar. So I was coming home from tour. This had been 3 3 years ago or something like that, maybe 4 now. I don't know. It's been a minute, but I was coming home from tour and I had the flu real bad, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this, Breezy. I'm sick as a dog. And she's like, look, Brian has spent so much time and effort on this thing. He has come up because he lives about an hour and a half from me. He drove an hour and a half with this thing. We're at a buddy's house where we do a lot of shooting. He's down the valley. He's real safe and all. And he's got it set up with an amplifier ran like 150 feet out to the shooting range. And there's all these people have assembled to watch this thing go down, you know. So I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I'll go, Breezy, I'll go. And it's also kind of cold, you know. So I go out there, I shoot it once in the dirt just to kind of see what would happen, you know. Because, you know, I mean, it's a shotgun guitar. I figured, is it going to come apart on me? What's going to happen, you know? So it worked, and I'm like, oh, man, this is great. So I tune it up, and I said, okay, everyone, I want you to clap like this. And I kind of just started clapping. I said, keep that beat. And then I started playing, and we had a jug of water set up, you know, down the way. And I started playing, blast that jug, go back to playing, 41-second video or something. And I'm like, well, that was great. And Brian goes, that's it? I go, well, Breezy, did you get it? And she goes, oh, yeah, we got it. And he's like, that was it? I'm like, that's it, brother. That's what we needed. And then I packed the thing up. We split. And then by that time, by later that same day, we had one of the top 10 YouTube videos on planet Earth.
Wow, man.
For that at that time anyway. And then what happened was everybody started stealing it off our page and posting on their own. So there's a lot of pages that have got a lot more views than ours ended up getting, because they were like those, like, you know, meme viral video websites that kind of steal your stuff. And,
yeah, there's a lot of them out there nowadays.
They got most of the views on it and stuff, but a lot of people watch that thing, and I'm not even sure if all of them, well, I know not all of them, I'm not sure how many of them at all knew it was me, but it ended up being on like Comedy Central the next day, and I think it made it to Ridiculousness on MTV, and, you know, crazy stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure if people knew that it was me doing it, but it was me. And you know, sometimes people are like, they'll come on the show like, hey man, I'm here because I think you play that shotgun guitar. I'm like, well, hey, whatever works. You know, it brought them out to the show, and by God, it was worth it, right?
Hey, people are fans in different ways, though, man. And for the people that want to, do you, okay, you probably don't play that thing live, do you?
No.
Okay, I was thinking
I figured that's probably a big liability problem. In some states, it probably ain't even legal, man.
Maybe one of these days. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah, I always threaten to. I'm like, man, I should get. I bought some of those confetti rounds that just fire confetti. You know, I thought, man, that'd be cool, but it's a bad idea. Breezy's like, you cannot take a real shotgun into a music venue and play that thing. I've even had a couple that asked for it. They're like, bring the shotgun guitar and play it on stage. And I'm like, nah, it just sounds like a bad idea. I can't do that. You know, it just sounds like a bad idea. Because, you know, that's one thing about the video. If you watch it, I had to take the safety off and cock that hammer in mid-song. And, you know, people were like, I could have made it, you know, that much smoother if I'd kept it cocked and ready to go. But I didn't want to do something that anyone would deem unsafe, and I didn't want to. I wanted to, you know, be a good example. So I'm like, no, I got to do this right. I got to do this the right way so that people, you know, they, you know, don't try to.
Yeah.
You know, so the, you know, I think that most people took it for what it was too, and I was afraid, you know, when I did it, that I might get some angry messages or something. I only got a couple. And for the most part, I think everyone just kind of took it for what it was. That it was just a fun, silly thing to do,
and also just how much of an awesome thing it is. I mean, when else has anybody seen a shotgun guitar? That's America right there. Anybody who's mad about that is un-American.
Well, it ain't been done. There's been a lot of people that get guitars made to look like guns, but this is a gun, and it shoots. And I shot it and played it, you know, in the same song. I did the same with an axe too. Made one of an axe. I'm splitting wood and playing in between splitting wood with the axe guitar, and that was pretty cool too. If you ain't seen that one, that's worth it.
Yeah. I checked that one out. But dude, as soon as I seen that shotgun guitar, I'm like, whoa! Like that The axe one is still cool. Don't get me wrong, but man, that shotgun guitar, that's wild right there. But I mean, like, and for the people that are coming out to the show or was thinking about it, get them tickets today, man, because that's another thing about y'all's the music that you make is it has its own unique sound whenever you're listening to it. But whenever y'all do a live show, I mean, like, y'all really put on a show, man.
You know, I believe in that old school way of putting on a show, right? Like, You go back to 1929, Charlie Patton playing behind his head, playing between his legs. People think like Hendrix or someone invented that. They were doing that long before that in the old medicine shows and traveling shows like that. From that tradition, I don't believe in just standing up on stage and staring at my toes. I believe in putting on a show. I believe in living in the moment right then and there and embodying the song at that second. And making it happen. So it's it's something that we absolutely take seriously. The show itself,
Yeah, man, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know that everybody else is too, and they can see Reverend Peyton and the Big Damn Band Thursday, September 16th at the Mountain Arts Center. Reverend, thank you, brother. This has been a absolute pleasure, my friend.
Oh man, thanks so much, and I'm going to be bringing with me some great songs, a great band, and hopefully some awesome ZZ Top stories too by then.
It sounds good, brother. But Reverend, I know you got to get on the road soon. You got to get everything packed up. We'll be seeing you at the Mountain Arts Center there, brother.
All right, thanks so much. We'll see you then. Thank you now. I appreciate it.